This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host on SNN.Network. And joining me right now is Bill Tempany. He is the CEO of FLYHT Aerospace Solutions. It's a publicly traded company. I got two symbols for you: FLY, fly, on the TSX Venture, and FLYLF on the OTCQX. And FLYHT Aerospace will be presenting at our upcoming in-person investor conference, the Planet MicroCap Showcase, happening May 3rd through the 5th, 2022 at Bally's Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. For more information to see their presentation and join us, go to planetmicrocapshowcase.com. And with that, Bill, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on. It's actually our first time doing an interview together. So can you start us off with that quick overview and history of the company, and then we'll go from there?
Certainly will. The company has been around since 1998. I joined the company in 2002, so 20 years ago. In the aviation business, it takes a long time to become a recognized player, and FLYHT is. Last week, I was at a seminar at Boeing Field with a bunch of other suppliers to the aviation industry, and FLYHT's invited to the table because we've built great products for a long time and done good things. So I think the company is on really solid footing from a product and a people point of view to really capitalize on the recovery of the industry as we come out of the COVID disaster.
Yep, no, absolutely. So, to give a little more perspective on exactly what the company, how you're participating in the aviation industry, can you tell us a little bit more about the company's products and services it provides?
Absolutely. We've got a certified device that goes on the aircraft and provides safety services, voice and data communication for commercial airlines. The box has also been built to take all of the data that is created by the aircraft from various sensors and sort out information that may help the operation of the airline in real time and get that to the ground and get it to the people that want it and need it. One of the things that we did during the pandemic is built a new lower cost, lighter box that uses all that same technology to help the airlines during turnarounds and when the aircraft's on the ground, to sort out the information they need to operate better and conserve fuel, reduce CO2 emissions.
So what would you say makes your box, your technology solutions, unique and different compared to some of your peers that are operating in the same space?
There's a lot of differences. One of the key differentiators right now is we're the first 5G box out there. And as everybody knows, the 2G and 3G is going away. We also have we're the first ones to apply cloud technology on an aircraft. So we've partnered with Amazon Web Services. We use all of their tools, and we have the first cloud-enabled device on an aircraft. We're using that device for IoT to collect information that isn't normally collected on an aircraft to help the airline operators save money. And we have a very solid background in aircraft certification and engineering that allow us to get things on the aircraft that most people wouldn't be able to do.
So, you mentioned how things are going away from 2G and 3G, and now you have the 5G box, but I want to learn a little bit more also about the business model for FLYHT. Obviously it's the box, but then is there something having to do with data storage, data management? I'd love to learn more there.
Absolutely. From day one, we've collected the data off the aircraft and helped the airlines use it for operational efficiency, reporting, timekeeping, salary payment, all of those good things. We've gone a step further with the new device in that we can download all of the information all the time off the aircraft, either in real time through the Iridium Certus network or through the 4G, 5G network. And we provide software that analyzes that data, feeds systems that the airlines use for dispatch or for maintenance or for passenger information, and give them the tools to report really quickly what's going on with the aircraft, make sure they're making the right decision to reduce delays, to reduce time on the ground, and reduce fuel burn.
So what about the box? And again, you're talking to a complete aviation novice, in fairness. But what is it either replacing and or enhancing, and maybe just overall what the problem it's solving for these airlines?
Well, very few people realize that today's modern aircraft transmit all of the data they use for operation using a telex format across a VHF radio. Those technologies are 1940s, 1950s technology, and the 787, the A350 all use those technologies.
Are you for real? For real? Actually?
Absolutely serious, yes.
Huh.
The difference that FLYHT does is it takes that data and converts it into very small bytes of information that are critical to the airline and gets it to the right people at the right time. And one of the functions of the AFIRS unit, the original box, was that people wanted to be able to get their telex message across a satellite system, and that's what AFIRS does. It provides satellite communication of a telex message to the operators through one of the two ground service providers that provide all that data to every airline in the world. So we are leaps ahead technology-wise from what is typically happening on an aircraft today.
So Bill, help me close the gap, because clearly there is, it's time to update the tech, right? For the aviation industry. And here you are, you're MicroCap company, catch me up. Why has the industry, why haven't they updated their software and the way they've been doing things? And why is the time now?
Well, in the airline industry or the aircraft industry in general, the motto is, if it isn't broken, don't fix it, because everything you fix is going to have an impact on something else. So adopting new technology is not at the forefront of the minds of most aviation professionals. They take systems that are tried and true and they make sure they work. They make sure there's at least two of them. Redundancy of systems is really important. It's things like COVID that are forcing airlines to look at the efficiency of what they're doing. It's things like COVID that are forcing everybody in the industry to look for a better way to do things. And I believe now is the time that that's going to happen. And we've had pretty good adoption of our technology. We're installed on over 3,500 aircraft. But like I say, the majority of those boxes are transmitting a telex message across a satellite instead of VHF radio. And to get into doing what we're doing with our ground applications is groundbreaking for them. To have real-time aircraft data, feeding solutions that help them operate their systems better is novel to them. And our customers are liking that. They're looking at it as a way to not have to rehire as many people as they had, to have better information, make better decisions, burn less fuel, be environmentally friendly. The session I was at last week in Seattle, one of the keynotes was, how do we get to net zero by 2050, right? And in the aviation industry, that's a huge challenge, and you'll never do it without better systems, smarter systems, and that's what we've put together. We're very active in making sure that we have everything required for the CORSIA requirements. CORSIA is the regulation on what aviation has to do to get to net zero. And one of our board members is a very keen advocate with that. We're working with a former vice president of Airlines for America on how we can assist the airlines to get the right information. The reason we bought the weather solution we did is that our system is not only capable of measuring water vapor, but we will be able to measure carbon dioxide, NO2, any of the greenhouse gases at any elevation and tell you what's really happening in the atmosphere, not just temperature and wind and humidity, but any of the greenhouse gases and how they're affecting and where they're affecting. And it's a huge part of what FLYHT plans to do in the next 10 years is be a leader in the environmental movement around aviation.
And not to bring things back a little bit, but towards maybe the company's initial focus. I mean, is this kind of like, we always hear about the black box when, unfortunately there's an accident or plane goes down or something like that. Is the AFIRS, the system that you're putting in the plane, is it basically a black box replacement?
Well, we have the technical capability, and we've demonstrated the technical capability on the Boeing Eco Demonstrator that they did with FedEx to live stream the data off the aircraft in the event of an emergency. The industry has decided to go another way. They're going to use what I call a deplorable recorder. It's actually a deployable recorder that if the aircraft gets in trouble, it ejects an 80-pound module off the aircraft and they can find it easily without having to find the whole aircraft. That seems to me to be not a great solution over Los Angeles or New York to chuck 80 pounds off the aircraft. It'd probably be pretty easy to find in somebody's living room, but I don't think it's a smart solution. And we have that solution. We've had it for years. We've got some customers that have implemented it that fly in Northern Canada and other hazardous locations. But it's not something that we're actively outselling because the industry's decided to go another way, and you only swim upstream so long before you decide that you better turn around and go downstream.
Yeah, fair enough. And Bill, what's your background? I mean, what was your background prior to joining the company in 2002? I'm guessing it's a lot of flights. I'm just going to put that out there.
Well, yeah, as I've said in some other interviews, is I used to be a very relaxed flyer back in the day when you could sit with a rum and coke and a cigarette in the back row of the aircraft and get to wherever you wanted in a really short period of time. What 20 years in the aviation industry has made me is a very nervous flyer because I know what kind of technology they're using and some of the things that can go wrong. It's still the safest way to travel, and it's certainly, I'm not afraid of travel by any means and do a lot of it. But my background has been all systems from university days many years ago to current. I've started a couple of other companies and sold them or taken them public that are directly related in the ability to collect and use large amounts of data in ways to improve businesses. And multiple industries, oil and gas, manufacturing, distribution, and aviation. So a very big background in data.
And Bill, to close us out here today, from what you can tell us, what would you say are some of the company's value catalysts now for the rest of 2022?
Well, I think that the Edge, which is our new lightweight device, and its adoption is something that you should be able to look at and see that the money we invested over the last 2 years has been put to good use. There will be announcements in the next quarter, in the next 3 months, not next quarter, but in the next 3 months that show the kind of companies that are interested in this technology and see it as an ability to change how they do things and get the information they need to make positive change in their businesses. I think that you'll see some orders, the recovery of the OEMs and the number of aircraft manufactured. You'll be able to see some orders coming from our OEM relationships that show that that side of the industry is recovering. The other thing that's happening, and all of our customers are looking at it, is upgrading their fleets to more fuel efficient fleets and getting the best out of every gallon of fuel they burn they can. And we're working side by side with 2 of our customers now in that initiative to make sure that the piloting techniques and the operations on the ground are doing the best thing they can to reduce that fuel burn. So the resizing of fleets with different routes and different numbers of passengers is going to have an impact on all of the fleets in the areas that we serve. And the ability for us, because we have the approval on, we have about 220 approvals on different commercial aircraft types, we can respond much quicker than anybody else to getting our products on airframes in real time.
Very good, Bill. Well, with that, where can our audience go and find more information to follow along the FLYHT Aerospace story?
Our website is www.FLYHT, and it's spelled funny, FLYHT, which I find when we picked that name, it's because it was the original Old English spelling of what birds did, .com. So it's all of our investor information, all of our product information is on there. And I encourage people to look at what the future of aviation looks like.
Very good. Bill, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Good luck, stay safe, and I'll see you in Vegas.
You will. Thanks very much.
Thank you.